Well, hello, free people of the Rocky Mountain region. This is Brandon from Free State, Colorado, and I hope you're doing well. If you haven't heard, the Colorado State Legislature is going to be going into special session. And at the time of this recording, the governor has not made an official announcement, but I can pretty much guarantee that this is going to happen. We're going to reference this sum and substance article here, what matters to Colorado business, to get some background information. I want to explore a little bit of what changed this year at the Colorado State Legislature, what we can expect from the special session, and then, of course, I want to ask you to sign a petition telling the state legislators to keep their greedy hands off of our tipped income. So let's jump in here. Colorado special session appears imminent following passage of federal spending bill. So it's from Ed C. Lover, July 3rd, 2025. Now, the rumors I'm hearing from our state legislators is we're looking about mid-August for this special session to convene. But to the article. Passage Thursday on the budget cutting One Big Beautiful Bill essentially mandates that the legislature will return to the Capitol for a special session this summer to deal with aspects of the federal law impacting Medicaid funding and artificial intelligence regulation. Governor Jared Polis's Office of State Planning and Budgeting estimates the bill's reductions to Medicaid spending, food assistance, and other benefits that are largely or partially federally funded will cut state revenues $500 million and boost state costs another $500 million. Wow. That will necessitate legislators to come back and rebalance the budget, likely by reducing funding to a number of other programs. There you go. They also stripped out of the big beautiful bill there the 10-year moratorium on states enacting artificial intelligence regulations. And of course, the governor has been trying to kind of get a modification to Colorado's regulation of AI platforms, which, I'd probably agree with him on that. But I'm really concerned here with the ability of our state legislature to try and steal more of our hard earned money. That's one of the biggest things. So, if you didn't know, these Medicare cuts, these Medicare savings, really cutting spending from the federal government is going to hurt the state of Colorado quite a bit, of course. Also, SNAP food assistance payments. And it's going to increase costs because there's going to be new reporting requirements in terms of ensuring where the money is coming from and how this money is being spent. So the state will have to investigate and recertify the eligibility of Medicaid recipients at least twice a year to continue getting federal funding. Wow. And they're going to say that's going to require the hiring of several hundred more state workers and upgrading the state computer systems of $57 million to make that happen. So kind of concerning there that the state of Colorado wasn't necessarily recertifying the eligibility of these people once or twice a year, but here we go. So, of course, the Medicaid SNAP, that's going to be a big thing. AI reform, which I don't want to get into in this video, but would love to talk about at a future time. One of the biggest things that I think people should be concerned about, that Colorado workers, Colorado families, and Colorado business owners should be worried about, is this taxation of tips. Now, unfortunately, earlier this year, the Colorado State Legislature did pass, and Jared Polis did sign House Bill 1296 that decoupled state tax policy from federal policy on overtime pay. So Colorado, our greedy politicians are still going to be stealing money, tax money out of your overtime pay here in Colorado. Now, that's something the big beautiful bill did right, of course, was ending the federal taxation on overtime pay. I mean, it's crazy that people work so hard working overtime, then you're taxed on top of it. But of course, here in Colorado, they want that $400 to $600 million. Bad news, folks. But what the state did not do was they did not decouple from federal policy on taxation of tipped wages. So it's around $30 million, at least according to a fiscal note from a 2020 bill. So it's probably higher than that by now, I would expect. But nonetheless, our state politicians probably want every penny they can get out of your wallet. So I'm very concerned that the state legislators are going to use the special session as a way to continue taxation on tips. And I think that's 100% wrong. And I'm urging you to sign the petition. I'll have linked at this video to tell our state legislators not to tax our tipped income. And also, I think they should reverse course on taxing overtime pay. So let's take a quick look here at the bill. This was 1296, passed this year. Unfortunately, one Republican state senator did vote for it. Definitely have words with them. But this bill basically ensured that overtime compensation excluded or deducted from a taxpayer's federal gross income to that taxpayer's federal taxable income for purposes of determining the taxpayer's state taxable income. So basically, previously, Colorado had just gone along with what the federal government did and said, hey, if the feds were going to tax your overtime compensation the same rate the federal government does, But of course, they changed that this year and are going to be taxing your overtime income. Totally wrong, totally unjustified, in my opinion. And I think Colorado has done a great disservice to Colorado workers here. And just so you know who's behind this bill, of course, you can imagine Lorena Garcia, Yara Zoki, Mike Weissman, of course, big opponents of Colorado's working class, people who are making life more expensive and more difficult for hardworking Coloradans. So bad news. You can read the bill there. Of course, I'll have all the links at Free State Colorado as always. But the Overtime Act, sponsored by Garcia, Zoke, Bacon, Besnicker, Brown, Camacho, Lindsay, Mabre, Rootnell, Sirota, Story, Tatone, English, Ricks, Wiseman, Amabile, Jode, and Kip. So some of the worst legislators we have down at the state capitol, of course, sponsoring a bill to ensure that your overtime money is still taxed here in Colorado. No, because they knew the federal government was going to end taxation on overtime. So, of course, we know the federal government, the Trump administration has really tried to keep money from Colorado for the immigration status. Of course, some of our horrible policies that violate the rights of the people who live here. The big one now here, this is from July 3rd, 2025, Trump administration withholding $10 million in grants from Denver public schools. So, of course, not only the big, beautiful bill cuts to Medicaid and SNAP food assistance, but we also have the federal government basically halting the distribution of $71 million in total. That's for the whole state, $71 million in education grants for Colorado that fund the after school and summer programs, professional development, and teacher salaries. This represents about 13% of the total federal funding. So, state of Colorado not only is going to lose a lot of more money from the Medicaid and food assistance, but here from federal funding for education here as well. So this is going to be a topic at the special session. They're going to say they need more of our tax money for the teachers and this and that. But so that's some of the big news there, some of the reasons we're going to have a special session, and also why I'm launching this petition. So, folks, I'm very involved with the state legislature every year. If there is a special session, when there is a special session, I will be down there. I'm going to print out every single petition that the legislator, to each of the legislators, I'm going to deliver a stack to House leadership, to Senate leadership, and tell them no. You can read this petition, share it with friends, share it with family. But the idea is here we need to no taxes on tips and end the tax on overtime. So the petition states, whereas the people of Colorado are facing challenges with affordability and financial stability, whereas hardworking Coloradans deserve to keep the money they earn, whereas the federal government will no longer consider tips or overtime as taxable income, whereas Colorado has traditionally coupled income tax collection with federal guidelines, therefore I urge Colorado state legislators to refuse any attempt to collect income tax on tips, and to repeal the recent addition to taxation of overtime income. So please sign that. I will definitely be delivering that. That's my guarantee to you here in Colorado. Check this out. I'll have links everywhere, of course, especially over the coming weeks to this petition before the special session starts. But we need to have a big pushback, people. I know there's some people out there who will say, oh, petitions don't matter. They don't care. Definitely matters. I guarantee you, if we go down there with hundreds, if not thousands of signatures from constituents here in Colorado who are going to be well aware that their state legislators are taking away their income on tips, who are not willing to cut us a break on our overtime pay, that can have a huge impact in these legislators, especially in some of these swing districts. And ultimately, we need to push back. We need to stand up. We need to speak out. We need to do something, folks. It's not the perfect solution, I understand, but I know we can have an impact. Each of us can have an impact. And that's what I really hope you understand, is that every voice out there matters. Every time you stand up and speak out, you're showing the courage that maybe somebody else needs to see for you to speak up and stand out. So please sign this petition, show up at the special session. I'll be talking a lot about that in the coming weeks. And let's fight back, people. We're going to tell these legislators that we're going to look them right in the eye and say, do not tax our tips, and you need to stop taxing our overtime. Well, thank you very much, and we'll talk to you soon.